You know, when I first started learning how to play guitar, there was very limited amount of resources available to me. YouTube definitely wasn't around back then. I had a Mel Bay book, but that only got you so far. I only remember one magazine being around back then that was Guitar Player, and they had some instructional stuff, but it always seemed like it was always just in standard notation. There wasn't tabs or anything. It wasn't until Guitar for the Practicing Musician came out, and that magazine had like full songs, all the guitar parts. It was all written out in tabs and standard notation. It was pretty cool. So because of the lack of resources, anytime that I learned a lick, I cherished that lick. That lick was like gold, and I would take that lick and twist it around and play it forwards and backwards and try to use that lick in as many contexts as I could. And that's a large part of how I learned how to play guitar. So with that idea in mind, let's take a look at the melody from Eric Clapton's Wonderful Tonight. We're going to take that lick, which sounds like this, take that lick and make more licks with it. And that's what we're doing today on Ray Plays Guitar. And I'm going to try to do it as simply as possible. Let's get into it. So just an interesting side note, Eric Clapton wrote Wonderful Tonight about Pattie Boyd. She was an English photographer and model who Eric Clapton eventually married. But she inspired Wonderful Tonight, also the song Layla and Bell Bottom Blues by Eric Clapton. But she also inspired a number of George Harrison songs, including I Need You, If I Needed Someone, Something, because she was also married to George Harrison. Just not at the same time that she was married to Eric Clapton. That'd be weird. So Wonderful Tonight is in the key of G. It starts on a G chord, then it goes to a D, then to a C, back to a D. And the line starts here on the note A, 14th fret of the G string. Gonna bend that up, a full bend, bring it back, go to the note G, and then back to A. So that first phrase is that. The next phrase starts exactly the same way, but then ends on the note E, 14th fret D string. Third phrase starts exactly the same way. Goes back to A, then continues to B on the B string, C, D, bend up, a full bend, bring it back, and end on the note D. First of all, let's just take that lick. We're going to pretty much play it as it is, but just put it in a different context. So if I was playing that on stage, I think I can get away with it. I don't think many people would hear that and go, hey, that sounds like Wonderful Tonight. It probably sounds more like that to us because we were just listening to Wonderful Tonight. So we basically played the lick as it is, just adjusting the rhythm a little bit. Another technique that we can apply to this is we can play it backwards. Or if you want to sound fancy, we could play it in retrograde. Now, I don't know what it sounds like exactly backwards, but the idea is it's like we got this going on. climb up, and we end up here. Well, what if we kind of started with this sort of a thing? And then kind of ended with that sort of a thing. I don't know. Let's find out. I'm going to pop this jam track on again. Well, that worked. That sounded great. So what I'm really kind of starting to do is just kind of use these notes that are in this lick as a little scale or a little cell, C-E-L-L, like a little prison cell. You can choose a certain amount of notes and just stick with those notes and only play those notes. So that's kind of like, you know, you're confined to playing only those notes. And when you do that, there's actually a lot of creative freedom that occurs when you sort of limit yourself. So here we're just limiting ourselves to the notes that are in this lick, which are, that's it. Now let's do this. Let's take this note and add the octave below it, right here. And I'm only doing that so that we can sort of complete this shape. Now we have this little cell or little scale. And it's starting to look like a kind of like a pentatonic shape with this note added. Now with this in mind, now I'm just going to treat it like a little scale or a little cell. These are the only notes I'm going to play, but I'm going to play them in whatever order I want. Couple licks I was doing in there. These little things. That's a cool little lick. Sometimes I'll throw in this little chromatic note in between there. They're using that chromatic note in a descending way. Another lick that I was doing off of the 5 chord. It's a cool little thing. Starting here on the D, the root of the 5 chord. Kind of working chromatically. That's basically it. But you're going to ornament that note with a slide and then end right there. So we added the octave here of this note down here. You can also take this note and add in that octave there. What that does, now we have all of this stuff available to us now. While we're at it, we can take that note and move that up an octave too. And now we it's really starting to look like a pentatonic scale. Let's try it in a different style. Let's try it in more of a rock context now. We're just gonna play the lick as it is. Alright, that doesn't sound too good to me. So playing the lick the way that it is over that particular progression didn't sound too hot. So let's try something else. So I'm going to try playing it backwards. Sort of backwards. Let's hear what that sounds like. Try that again. So that was a lot of material, and it was all from licks from Wonderful Tonight. So now let's do a similar thing, but put it in a minor context. Just a few examples of taking a simple lick and applying it to different contexts and manipulating it in a way to create more musical material. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. If you found this video helpful, please do me a favor. Hit that like button, share this video with your friends, subscribe to my YouTube channel, but most of all, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. We'll see you next time.